Hey guys, Whalestrike here. This is a video just explaining the rules and info for Season 3. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. The first sort of topic we are going to address is alting and hacking. This has been a pretty big thing in the shell community, I think specifically the competitive shell community, at least for alting. And so we are going to do our best this season to prevent it with Close Watch, with Shell League, and, you know, we're just going to be trying to prevent it the best we can. But in the past, games that alt hackers played in were FF'd, and that's going to be the same this season, but there's going to be a little more update, I guess, sort of, that's the best way I can put it, for lack of words. To that rule, and that is if a player alted and they played in a game and they were caught, either after that game or even during, that game will not be forfeited because that person wasn't using an alt, and so nothing was really happening then, so that's not going to be forfeited, but that player will be suspended and their alt will be banned. For hacking, you get banned, you know. That's just self-explanatory. If you hack, you're getting banned. You're getting banned in Shell League, you're getting banned in Pre-League. Any other Shell Shocker server, you're getting banned from. That's not going to be permitted. So that I explained. Hackers and alts, they'll be banned. So for first-time alters, you're going to be temporarily suspended as opposed to temporarily banned. We feel like there isn't really a necessary reason to just ban you for 2 weeks. I think, you know, you should still be allowed to be in the server, because I can understand that sometimes it does get a bit boring, and honestly, you know, the shell community could use some more players, and, you know, I guess the alting is somehow the answer to that. I don't know why, but I can understand where you're coming from. But just know, don't do it. You know, we're trying our best to get new players in the game, but alting is just not going to be the answer to that. So just keep that in mind. Just don't alt. Just don't. Next topic we're addressing is the match times. So from the feedback we got, the match times were so close that only very few times we were ever actually on time. So we are going to be changing that to 40-minute intervals between games. That extra 10 minutes can really be used for verifying, because what it seems like is last season we would have the game, we would verify everybody, and then the game wouldn't finish until after the next game is supposed to start. And so that's how we would get pushed back. And if we can minimize that interval, verify people in a very short amount of time, that's really how we're going to be able to stay on schedule. So games will be remaining on Fridays and Saturdays, sort of the same time frames, so you can expect both days to have the same exact time. So all times at CST, of course, so it would be sort of like 5:40, 6:20, and then 7 CST for both days. That's what you can expect from a schedule. And then the next is map pools. We are going to be introducing something for the very first time. And this is going to be a map pool. So these will be for 4v4s and 3v3s. There will be different map pools for both, so keep that in mind. But the reason why we are doing this is so that we can sort of make the game a little more interesting, make, you know, the league look a little more interesting as well. I know in the past we tried to introduce this idea of map switching with home team and away team. We decided to scrap that after week 1 because it just, you know, the feedback that we got, you know, nobody wants to be playing on a map that they, you know, don't necessarily have to play on. So basically what this system is going to be is there's going to be 2 map pools. And so before each game, say it was a 3v3, you have 3 maps to choose from. Castle, Road, and Mud Gulch are going to be those maps. And for 4v4s, it's Castle, Palace Siege, and Blender. So pretty much how we're going to do this is we're going to have 3 maps, and if it's a 3v3, you're going to be focusing on those 3 maps. And what one team will do, they're going to pick a map that they do not want to play on. And then once they pick a map, there'll be 2 maps remaining. So say they pick Road, so that means the map is between Castle and Mud Gulch. So the other team from those 2 will pick the one that they don't want to play on. So say they say Castle, that means the game will be on Mud Gulch, and the same is for 4v4. So that is basically how it is going to be worked. It's pretty easy. If you need anything, we'll explain it before the game. So some smaller rules. Divisions have been slightly switched around. We moved around some teams depending on how they did last season to make it a little more even on both sides. So don't be surprised if your team was switched, but for the majority, all teams remained in either the same conference or the same division. New stats sheet. That's pretty self-explanatory. We have a new stats sheet. I think most of you, if you're in pre-league, you saw our stat sheet that we were using. That's going to be the same template that we're going to be using from here on out. Teams will now only be allowed to have 1 sub. So this is a huge rule, because in the past, if a player had to leave, we were allowing as many subs as possible. And so now we are just going to, put it to 1, because it's definitely a hassle to have to verify multiple people in one game, and it's just not great. So 1 sub only. And the final one is the FF timer. This is a big one as well. It is now only 5 minutes from the start of the game, so you need to have your players in before the game starts. There's no exceptions to that. If you don't, even if you have, say, 2 players and the last one says, okay, give me 3 minutes, nope, we got to FF. You have to find your 3 players before the game. We are not going to be giving this leeway of, okay, give me 10 minutes, we can get our players, because we don't know that. So you need to have your players in before the game. I've said it millions of times, FFs are not the greatest thing for leagues, so please get your players in before the game. And then the next thing we have is team hopping. Roster lock is going to be only implemented during playoffs. We thought that this was really the best time to really have a roster lock to prevent, bandwagoning. And this was implemented during the Season 2 playoffs. There was a roster lock, and every roster was frozen. No teams were allowed to add players. But they could lose some if they wanted, but nobody was allowed to switch. The 2-day rule is now in place. So what the 2-day rule is now that we have a pre-league, we realize that a lot of players might want to play in, say, a game in pre-league on a Thursday and then switch over to Tide League and play a game on Saturday or Friday. So this 2-day rule is going to prevent that, and basically what this is going to do is for every player that is added to a team, they're also going to be giving a 2-day rule, and this is just a temporary 2-day rule. The bot will take it off after 2 days. But basically what this is allowing us to do is to keep tabs on all of the players to make sure that they are not abusing the system rules. And then, of course, you're not allowed to play in Tide League and Tide Pre-League at the same time. We aren't going to be super, alert about checking each player, but we will go through every player before the seasons start in both Pre-League and Tide to make sure that you don't have a role in both. That's really it. Oh, and again, you may only switch once per season. I think that was pretty much addressed. So just know that these are really the major rules. And the final thing that we really wanted to introduce is this thing known as the Elasticity Clause. So what this is in short terms, you can pause the video and read over that paragraph. Basically, what this allows us to do is it allows admins and league owners, so me, Blank, and anybody who has a role as admin, what it allows us to do is basically nullify the rules. And we can instate new rules, we can take away rules, we can change rules. But this is only if someone is blatantly abusing something in the league handbook. If you need to read the league handbook, please read over it. There's a lot in there that you're going to need, and if you don't read it, you're pretty lost. If you're a veteran, that's fine, but I know there's a lot of new players this season, so please, if you haven't done so, read over that rulebook. It can be found in League Rules channel. It should be one of the very first channels that you see. So yes, this is basically giving us the right to change the league rules at any given time if someone is trying to abuse the loophole. So, at any time if someone's trying to switch the teams and trying to bribe people getting roles and stuff, we're going to stop that. This gives us the opportunity to say, nope, you cannot have the role because this is not, this is not okay. Basically, think of this as a way to really cut down on loopholes. And, we're trying to make sure that the league stays fair. And this is for you guys. This is not for us to really show that we have so much power. This is for you guys. We're trying to make it as fair as possible for you guys. But that's pretty much it. That's all we really have for you guys. Those are the new rules. If you have any questions, please contact me or Blank, and we can certainly give the best answer that we have. So thank you guys.